Our last story comes from PJ Media study. Many Democrats claiming mental distress after Trump election were faking it. Why would people pretend to have Trump derangement syndrome? Now, of course, they don't call it Trump derangement syndrome, but there have been some people who have referred to it as Trump anxiety disorder. Why would people pretend to be getting anxiety, stress, and be seeking therapy after Trump won the election? According to this study, because they're virtue signaling. They call it reverse cheerleading. Now, there are some caveats to this story, and we're going to go through that. So before we move on, just take it with a grain of salt. I don't want you to run away from this story thinking it's absolute. We're going to read through it. Before we do, if you want to support my work, you can head over to timcast.com/donate. I have a monthly donation option through PayPal. There is cryptocurrency options, a physical address, and of course, you can just share this video and click the like button if you don't want to do any of that. But let's get back to the story. The story says, in this photo, we see Anna Devlin from Plano, Texas, cries in the gallery of the House of Representatives after the Electoral College voted at the state capitol in Austin, Texas, Monday, December 19th, 2016. The ballots of 36 Texas presidential electors Monday put Donald Trump over the 270 electoral votes needed to formally win the White House. They say, in the wake of the 2016 election, liberals nationwide were claiming significant mental emotional distress. Last month, so-called comedian Chelsea Handler claimed Trump's election drove her to drugs and to seek psychiatrist help for anxiety relief, yada, yada, yada. But according to a new study published in Sage One, an open-access peer-reviewed academic journal, many registered Democrats were embellishing their mental anguish as a means to back their party. It was just virtue signaling. It reads, our research suggests that for many Democrats expressing mental distress after the election was a form of partisan cheerleading, writes researchers Masha Krupinkin, David Rothschild, Chandra Hill, and Elad Yamtov in their findings. Clearly, many Democrats were and are upset about the Republican victory in 2016. These findings do not invalidate those feelings, but put their depth and related actions into perspective. This so-called reverse cheerleading occurs when a person misreports or exaggerates a condition publicly in order to show support for their affiliated group, or in this case, their political party. The authors say that a person's actions in private reveal their true condition. However, and for the study, that can be determined by evaluating private search terms. In other words, a person who might describe suffering psychological distress on social media or to their friends, but doesn't search for any type of help or relief is more likely showing a form of reverse cheerleading. Well, let's do some caveats real quick. First, I want to point out Sage Open, where this was published on Wikipedia. It's an open access peer-reviewed academic mega journal. Some people would criticize this, saying it's open, anyone can submit and just pay to be peer-reviewed. So it may not be as, some people think this might not be as credible as other journals. But we do have the conclusions here published in Sage Open. We have the abstract. We'll come back to this, but I wanted to show that we do have the study in the introduction. I'm not saying that simply because it's in an open mega journal that means it's not credible. And it was it looks like it was first published in March 27th of this year. We do have the story here from studyfinds.org that Democrats are exaggerating. So I guess I just want to point out that caveat that it's coming from a mega journal. Take it with a grain of salt. It is what it is. It's coming from PJ Media, which is a conservative, more biased source. But just to try and be safe and make sure, you don't go running off thinking it's absolute. Those are the, let's read on. They say, we find that while Democrats expressed serious mental distress about the election results on surveys, on average, the Democrats in our sample did not show an increase in mental health-related searches after the election, the researchers wrote. So it sounds like a lot of people might just be claiming they have some kind of distress, but they don't actually know if they do. They're just saying they're distressed while trying to claim they have real mental issues for some reason. I don't know why they would want to legitimately claim they have some kind of, anxiety disorder or derangement syndrome, but apparently they did, because it shows that they're in alignment. To assess the validity of Trump's stress disorder, the researcher analyzed over 1 million searches by Bing users before and after the 2016 elections to determine the changes in mental health-related searches among Democrats and Republicans. These changes were then compared to shifts in searches among Spanish-speaking Latinos in the United States, whom the researchers claimed were directly targeted by President Trump because of his opposition to Deferred Action DACA. They say, while Spanish speakers both reported significant stress after Donald Trump's election, and showed an increase in searches for mental health related terms. The same was not true for Democrats. Democrats showed no statistically significant changes in searches. Democrats were no more likely to search for stress relief, nor mental illness, nor treatment for mental illness before or after the election. This suggests that some Democrats reported mental health declines after Trump's election as a form of reverse cheerleading, where partisans report evaluations that are more negative than their true beliefs to reflect badly on a president of the opposing party. In other words, grifting. These are the people who like to accuse other people of grifting. They say the conservatives, these personalities, are grifting, they're lying, they're pretending to hold certain views to make money. When in fact, it looks like we have some data to back up the claim. They're pretending to be upset about Trump. They're really not. What if, and let's entertain this, what if these people don't really dislike Trump? What if all of these personalities don't care? I'd be willing to bet none of them care. I'd be willing to bet they just want to join in and make sure they get followers and have fans and make money. And they've always felt safe on the left, so this is their play. Do they really care at the end of the day? I highly doubt it. I really, really do. I mean, they're celebrities. Think about how they got to where they are. These like Chelsea Handler, for instance. They're not political activists. They're not working for nonprofits. They're not going on the street. These are individuals that entertain. So why then would they claim this distress? They're entertaining you. They're telling you what you want to hear to confirm your bias. Let's read the last little bit. Liberals were obviously upset at the result of the 2016 election, just as Republicans were upset at the results of the 2008 and 2012 elections. That Democrats feel the need to embellish their anguish to prove their liberal bona fides tells us just what pathetic snowflakes they are. Well, you've certainly got some opinion in this story that should be called out. But let's move on, because in the study find section, they do make a point about this here at the end. They say, interestingly, the authors point to a 2016 Gallup poll that shows Republicans seem less interested in partisan cheerleading. That poll found Democrats reported higher levels of stress after the 2016 election, but Republicans didn't. Yet after the 2008 election of Barack Obama, Republicans similarly showed no increase in stress despite the election of the young Democrat. The study is published in the journal Sage Open. So this study I have here is actually, this is the study finds report from yesterday on the Democrats faking it. But they do link to this other study, which I have pulled up. Republicans seem not to care about virtue signaling, and I wonder why that is. There's also interesting data I talked about it the other day, how Republicans don't care, Republicans don't trust the media in general. Liberals tend to trust almost all of the media. Conservatives trust only a few personalities, Fox News and, say, Breitbart. Why that is, I honestly don't know, but I think it does give us some insight into why there is this divide between the left and the right, why they believe what they believe. Why is it that Republicans are not so interested in virtue signaling? Maybe it's because they're skeptics. Maybe it's because they tend to be distrustful and individualistic. They don't rely on the collective for their strength. Therefore, they have no reason, and thus you do end up seeing conservatives go after each other. You know, some people have pointed out, where are the Koch brothers in defending free speech? Nowhere to be found. And they're long considered to be on the right, although probably libertarian types. Well, let's read this. They say Democrats may become bigger fans of the old children's tune "Rain, Rain, Go Away" thanks to a new study that explains why Republicans fare better on election day when it's raining. Researchers at Dartmouth College and the Australian National University looked at both weather patterns and a comprehensive data set of recent American electoral outcomes, hoping to learn more about a previously documented correlation between rain and Republican Party success at the polls. They say Republicans, the researchers found, saw a slight yet significant statistical advantage, about 1% at the polls on rainy days, which they attributed to an aversion to risk during inclement weather conditions. In other words, voters who'd planned on picking a Democrat if the weather was pleasant instead opted for the Republican candidates because it was raining. That's weird, and I have no idea why they linked it. I thought this was a story on virtue signaling, but still a funny data point, I might say. Our study suggests that weather conditions may affect people's decisions on not only whether to vote, but also who they vote for. Again, an electoral edge benefiting Republicans on rainy days has long been documented, but the study adds new insight. So I don't know why the study linked that. That must be a mistake. I thought it was going to be a link directly to, okay, so this is the actual study about Democrats lying. I thought it was going to be a link to show Republicans didn't want to virtue signal, but apparently Republicans do better on rainy days. Well, that's interesting. I'll leave it in. I'm not going to take it out. We'll just go with it. Excuse me, I have allergies. So the study from Sage Journals is titled President Trump Stress Disorder, Partisanship, Ethnicity, and Expressive Reporting of Mental Distress after the 2016 elections. And it basically concludes what we've already read, that they believe it was, in fact, virtue signaling. And I'm going to have to personally agree. I'll just say it one more time. They're entertainers, these celebrities. They don't care about politics. They care about tribalism, and they care about rallying a consumer base to sell a product to. So don't be surprised when you find their political personalities dedicated to politics who are conservative, and you end up with these journalists, I'll do air quotes, claiming, claiming to be journalists, but they push far left policies. It's because they care more about tribalism and in-group than conservatives do, I would say. But I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out. That concludes today's segments and episodes. The next video will be up tomorrow on this channel at 10 a.m. And for those listening on the podcast, of course, it's always 7 p.m. every day, although I have been a bit late in the past few days for editing reasons. But I will end by saying, if you'd like to support my work, timcast.com/donate. It seriously does help. We're getting into the summer months where viewership declines, and this means bad news in terms of revenue. So I really do rely on your support through monthly donations, cryptocurrency, physical address, and of course, seriously, sharing the video might be one of the most powerful ways to promote, because apparently that tells the YouTube algorithm that, if people are sharing it, must be good. So just consider it. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Click the like button. It really does help. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.